Alright, welcome back to another Black City Coffee vlog. In this video, I wanted to talk about what makes coffee great. I was thinking about this a little bit. And also, this is for Dan. You want to know what's in my travel case? Well, depends where you're going, right? But I'll show you something here. And it relates to our little topic of what makes coffee great. And besides all the equipment in this thing, we have coffee. Now, typically I'm bringing, a bag of mine, but I ran out. And I forgot about this little ditty that I picked up in, where were we? I forgot. Something with a bridge. I forgot. Alright. Anyway, we came across this guy, Cutter's Point. And I told you on the last vlog that I was like, man, I'm tasting a lot of very, kind of darker coffees. Couldn't find any real, medium or even light blends, light roasts. And I was a little disappointed with that. Until I came across this, and I forgot about it because I put it in here. We packed up everything and we came back, and then I hadn't kind of thought about it since then. And when I opened it again and I had a little cup this morning, I thought, man, this is really good. And it's like a true medium, like they said. It doesn't taste roastier than a medium that I would roast and say this is a medium. In terms of retaining origin flavors and trying to be all hoity on the high horse with my medium roasts and stuff. But, after you've tasted a lot of coffee, you tend to, subconsciously judge things, which I don't mean that in any negative way. You're just you make comparisons, okay? So, we'll talk about this, but Dan, I've got a pour over sort of thing here, and I've got this one because it works well with travel, right? You can't break this. It can mold, it can bend. I can throw it anywhere. Don't got the packed kettle in here. I really didn't need to bring this, but I brought it. If I don't have access to, a 3-prong electrical outlet, it requires a lot of power, If I don't have access to a 3-prong electrical outlet, I have this guy, the Fire Maple. And then again, you hook this into any what do you call these? Butane propane mixture type of gas thingy. And you can bring this out a little fishing trip, whatever it may be, camping. Next, pour over filters. I found that pour over has just been increasingly more convenient, cleaner, better than the AeroPress, even though I was so mad, so crazy in love with the AeroPress. I'm finding it more and more difficult to keep in the house, bring it anywhere, even though it produces a very good cup. I just find the cleanup just abysmal. And if I wanted to increase the dose of the AeroPress, that's, it's really hard to do that without making some compromises in the extraction. Okay, scale. Good to have a scale unless you've kind of memorized everything. Fellow Carter mug, classic, reliable, tastes good, does not taste like metal. There's ceramic in there, so it's really akin to what you're used to drinking in a ceramic cup at home. Metal cups, metal mugs, not so good. Normcore, this hand grinder, a little slippery in the hands. I took off the rubber thing because it just rotates as I do it. Annoying, so I took off the sleeve. And what a clean design, isn't it? Super pretty. Wooden handle, very easy. I put this on the measuring thingy right here. Measure out 20 grams. Make coffee. It's early. That's the gist of it. It's not really that, exciting. It's nice to have this though. This comes with the Normcore as a little air puffer. And we can puff out the remaining grinds in there. And you want to do that because, and you can see it's kind of it's a little grimy. But you'll want to do that because if you have old coffee kind of mixing with your new coffee and you're expecting to have the best cup of coffee because you went through all this trouble to have your coffee out in the wilderness, but you haven't cleaned your grinder, so you're gonna have old stale coffee, rancid coffee mixed in with your new coffee, and you go, what the heck, I've tried all this stuff, you know, I even got the water right, I got my, you know, got my third wave water, you know, we go through all this trouble, but if we don't clean and maintain our tools, you can't expect to have the best tasting cup on the road. Just another thing to do. But this makes it fairly easy, you know, and if you want to get a little more nitpicky, they even give you a little Normcore brush. So I love that. That makes sense. Because they know their product. And you know what, it was very affordable. What was this, like 80, 90 bucks? And of course we're always looking for the best cup quality we can get while being small, while being efficient, having good grinder, all these things that we're sort of balancing on the scale of like, how do I have the best cup of coffee out in the meadow? Okay, so that's that. Oh, I even have this cool thing. This is when you're out and about and you don't have a lot of table space. Maybe you're only rolling with your Jeep or something. But we have this cool thing I got from my friend as a, I think it was a Christmas gift. But this goes right here. And it's just so freaking Instagram, isn't it? It's just so Instagram ready for you to make coffee. Isn't that so cool? I love that. And then it folds down. I love it. You gotta kind of accordion style it. There you go. That goes right in there. And I love this thing. It's so big. It's bulky. It is heavy. But that's the way I like it, you know. Make the kit that's right for you. What you don't mind carrying around. And I like people to know this is coffee only. Alright, so that's the coffee kit. Well, let's talk about this guy. Cutter's Point. I was thinking about this the topic this morning. I was like, man, this is really good. I'm so glad I found one and I forgot about it. Was it that good if I forgot about it? No, I just have a lot of things going on. But it's very good in terms of being a medium, saying what they say, tasting what I'm trying, what they said on the label, and then also like comparing it to my level of, I guess my level of standard of coffee and what I perceive to be a medium, not so burnt, not so roasty in the cup. Although, you know, for some harder, you know, access to coffee, burnt coffee is better than no coffee, okay? And we'll kind of get into that a little bit later, but like, I was like, man, this is really good. There's a depth of flavor here. And there's the inner critic, the imposter syndrome that happens, I think, with all of us, all artistes or wannabe artistes like I am, to go, does mine have this great depth of flavor? And when I look at these beans, can I confidently compare? You know, this is a blend, but it's medium, right? And so, whoops. I'm looking at the physicality of the beans, and I like, as a roaster, you know, I'm always trying to check myself and go, okay, does my blend, when I make blends, am I sort of following like an industry standard rule of thumb? I don't have to copy everything or follow all the rules, but am I on the same track? Am I going the same direction when I say this is my Omni Roast blend? Because I feel like this could certainly be like an Omni Roast. I can throw this through an espresso machine and pull a great shot. I can pour over. I can French press this coffee. And this coffee is just their medium roast, Shackleton's original, aromatic, sweet, balanced. And I feel like it is. And even more so, I treasured this coffee even more because out of all the coffees I was drinking out there and where I was at in the rural areas, you know, more like where the Puget Sound is and stuff like that, I was tasting a lot of very like burnt coffees. Burnt meaning like just too roasty. Like that's the first flavor I taste. And when I was ordering a medium roast or a light roast, and I was like, why? And I came to the I came to the assessment that, hey, it doesn't, maybe we don't have the best consistent roast all the time, and when we say light or we say medium, but we understand the system and the business of making coffee. Because I would run across companies that, you know, they've been in business for like over 10 years. And when you've been in business for over 10 years, believe me, you have had to really nail down your systems, standardize something, been consistent at something, you know, or been beholden to their market in some way to keep producing that way. So it's not like I was, you know, hating on these darker roasts that I was tasting from all the little, like, everywhere you go. It's like every 2 miles you see like a little coffee shack, a little kiosk, and that's kind of the coffees that I was tasting. But yeah, this one, when I was tasting, I was like, oh, cool, like this kind of tastes like mine, doesn't it? And then when I kept tasting it, there was this incredible depth of flavor, of body. And I was like, okay, this will be cool, fun thing to do is like, can we mimic this? Do we have the same depth of flavor in our blend? Because that's really what I'm after. I want somebody when they taste it still to taste a sort of zing, like I like to say, right? You still taste the acidity. You get the chocolatey, dark chocolate stuff that people expect in a medium roast, but not have it be too roasty. So I've been tasting this back and forth in between my Tiger Claw, which is sort of my Omni Roast blend, medium roast thing, and like I said, that imposter syndrome is always sort of at play in the back of my mind, telling me like, this is really great coffee. And I try to signal to myself, like, why is it great to you? You know, like, I'm sure everybody has their great definition, like, oh, it's won these awards, or it's grown a certain way, or it's sold the most, or something like that. But for me, in my definition of great coffee, is like, it's making me think. It's making me ponder. It's challenging me. It's making me relive some memories. It's eliciting some sort of personal emotional response. But on top of the emotion, it's clearly making me, is my coffee good enough? And not in a way of like coming from lack, but also just like a challenge to step up to the plate and like, yes, here's mine. Like, I love this, what you're doing. I love this depth of flavor that I'm tasting. Okay, here's mine. Like, what do you think? Like, how can I improve it? And those are the things that are kind of like running through my mind. And the fact that this company's been in business, I think, for over 20 years or something like that. So that's even more systems, even more consistency, even more in line with their market and also coffee and also their industry and their art, right? So it's something, for me, this coffee is great to me, even though it's clearly nothing geisha level, award-winning level. It's their, you know, for me, it's Tiger Claw. That would be in place of this, and this is for them, I think, just one of their consistently sold blends. You know, we don't know the origin of these beans and the blends, but the flavors are probably what have been consistent. Just like me, I choose basic, reliable, friendly flavors that everybody can understand, and hopefully that's what's being experienced, you know, when people order Tiger Claw. And that's the most sold coffee right now because it can please more mouths, you know, please more palates. And so for me, it's making me think, and now it's tied to a certain memory. But I think not only that, like, for me, this great coffee is now going like, okay, like, you know, don't look at your Omni roast or any roast for that matter, but something that you do consistently as something that is less than or greater than, but just like put out your best, you know? So these are the sort of like thoughts that are running through my head when I was tasting it. And I was like, man, this is a great cup of coffee, you know? And I hope that one day, if somebody's drinking my coffee from Black City Coffee, or it's not my coffee, it's like drinking a coffee that I've roasted, because coffee is a collaborative thing. It's like they go, hey, this is a good cup of coffee. it doesn't have to win awards per se, but that they, you know, out of the cups of coffees that they've been drinking, they go, this one's in the good pile. You know, this one's in the good category. That's just my goal. Because that's what I was doing as a consumer when I was out and about and running out of my own blends and maybe feeling that my coffee was stale or old or something like that. And I was like, man, I want something new while I'm out here. I want to experience what the Pacific Northwest has to offer in terms of coffee. Like, let me try something different. And so, yeah, this one, out of the very small sample size that I was able to acquire when I was out there, I was just like, this one's making me think. And I was like, man, this is really good. In the same vein, okay, so to hit the point home, what else is great coffee? This, for the flavor, for all the things that I just talked about. But we were heading back home, and on this road trip back home, we were, I didn't make any coffee for myself. We woke up, we left, right? So I didn't have any coffee for the day. I was starting to feel this sort of withdrawal from not having my daily cup of coffee. And I was like, man, we got to pull into a gas station and get some coffee. We're still in the Pacific Northwest, so hey, it's still, maybe it's good. I don't know. That's your typical, you know, drip coffee. Pump it out a little drip thingy. Okay, you know, like sometimes we're not expecting the best out of a drip coffee. I know that sometimes we can definitely get some great coffee out of the drip coffee push thingy. These ones you're like, okay, it's hot, it's warm, it's dark, and that's all I can really expect from it. So as I was drinking this from the gas station, and I'm like, I don't know what my expectations are. I'm just wanting something hot. I'm just wanting something caffeinated. But I'm drinking the coffee, and I'm like, oh my God, this is actually pretty good. And I think it's because, you know, being without coffee and then having coffee, no matter where it's coming from, and being in that sort of like dire state of like the access is pretty much nil. You're just like, dude, I'm so grateful for this coffee. This is some great coffee. So I think, you know, the definition of greatness can change from perspective and from what you have access to. So I like this idea of what is great coffee being flexible and being personal. And but for me, I think the ultimate definition for me is it makes me think. It challenges me. It makes me, I think what the bottom line here is it's helping me to grow, right? So I'm not just staying within my little bubble, because it's really easy when you're a roaster, you roast from home, just stay in your little bubble, drink your own little coffee, be arrogant enough to think that it's the best coffee in the world and just like never venture outside. So I like it when I have a chance to kind of burst my own bubble and then challenge myself and remind myself like there's work to do. There's still always work to do, and not in a negative way, like in a very encouraging, inspiring way. I'm inspired by this coffee, that I can find greatness in a sort of, you know, staple. Probably that they just sell this all the time. Maybe it's an omni roast for them, you know. But I find that greatness in that. Okay, so that was today. I will see you in the next one. Let me know, what are your favorite roasters out there in Pacific Northwest? Maybe when I'm out there again, I will check them out, and I definitely would love some recommendations, because I definitely had more darker coffees than I intended to have, which that's not my preference. So if you know some roasters that are more along this level, or maybe along a lighter roaster scale and palette, I would love to know. Let me know in the comments. Okay, see you.